I got Rohan Patel comic book movie. Uh, Hi Sharmeen, how are you?
Hi, Rohan. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. I loved your episode. I loved that you had Farhan in it, and but I just wanted to start from with after everything we saw in 1 through 3, where they're in New Jersey and Kamal is getting acclimated to her new powers, and so like, what was it like getting episode 4 and 5, where you get to go move the action to Karachi and kind of reinvent the series almost?
I loved the fact that I had a free reign in creating this brand new world for Kamala Khan to go on an adventure on, and that I could paint the palette the way I wanted to, and sort of I wanted to bring scope, and I wanted to put her out on the streets, and I wanted to film on location, and I did a lot of that with my episodes. And so I think there was a method to Marvel's madness in bringing me on for episode 4 and 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about Farhan, you cast him in, like, he's such a big actor. Is you cast him in this role as Waleed, where he has to like mentor um Kamala. And so what was the process of casting him, seeking him out specifically and putting him in this role?
Farhan, from day one, we were like, this role is Farhan Akhtar's. I mean, he would embody this wise character, and we needed a mentor for Kamala, and we needed someone who would provide context to her and reassure her that the journey that she's on is an important one, and that the Order of the Red Daggers would protect her through that process. And I think that the first time he walked onto set and sort of wore that costume that Arjun Basan sort of designed for him, he stepped into the role of Waleed, into this wise man, and in the way he explained everything to her, in the warmth he brought to sort of making her sort of go through clearing the haze for her. And so I think that this was the right sort of role for Farhan to play in that moment. And you see that chemistry between the two of them. It's like a mentor-mentee relationship on screen.
Yeah, he brings such like this incredible like warmth to all his scenes. And then he's working with Iman, who's like incredibly talented herself, and this is her first big like project. So like, what was it like seeing this young talent just kind of come onto the scene and like be able to do everything she's able to do, and like what's just directing her like?
I think Iman Vellani is Kamala Khan. She's a first generation Pakistani Canadian, and she's an MCU nerd. And so much of what she's playing is actually her real life. We would often forget that she's actually playing this character because she's bringing so much of herself to Kamala Khan that I don't think that Marvel could have cast someone better to have an MCU nerd play an MCU nerd in the MCU. Is something truly special.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like now going into like near the end of the episode, and then you get this is something like I wasn't even familiar with myself because I grew up in the US. But like the partition, you're gonna tackle that in the next you hinted at it for 4 episodes, and now you're going into that time. So what can you tell us about realizing that as accurately as possible while also like being in like a Marvel sort of superhero universe where it's like a little fantastical as well?
When Kamala lands into partition, it was really important for me to have Kamala bear witness to history and to, as she walks on that platform, to hear snatches of conversations that people were having as they were leaving their home. A father hugging his son because he's too old to travel, he's sending the son off. Two best friends hugging each other who may never see each other again. A daughter worried that there won't be enough space on a train. These are all stories rooted in real oral histories that we have drawn from. Because anybody who had to leave their home in 1947 on either side of the border felt the anguish. And in the 75th year of partition, which is what this year is, it was so important to bring that to life, to make people understand that there's so much intergenerational trauma about 1947 in each one of the families, that I wanted Kamala Khan to be Kamala Khan in that moment and not be superhero.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I'm like, I didn't even realize how similar because I understand Hindi, but like I didn't realize how similar it was spoken in Pakistan as well as in India. But so like it's just like so fascinating how authentic the series is. And then like speaking of like realizing Karachi, because like I've been to like my family's from Gujarat in India, but so like when we visited like Mumbai and stuff, and their local like my mom's village and stuff. But so what was like your main goals of like realizing Karachi as accurate as possible? Because I know Kamal is kind of like wandering around by herself at some time. I don't think any of my family would ever let me wander around Mumbai by myself just because of the language. But like, what was that kind of just like wanting to see like where you grew up and like put it on into the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, I took all my favorite restaurants and landmarks and places that I love, and I
Hmm.
recreated them for Kamala to experience.
Yeah.
How cool is that I was able to do that? I wanted to bring the color and the vibrancy of my Karachi onto the screen that you almost never see in Hollywood. I wanted to bring the colors, the motifs, the murals, the hand painted trucks and vehicles, sort of the bright colored textiles and the funky sort of things that you see being sold on the side of the street. I wanted to bring that all out, and I wanted to, sort of film that so that I could introduce the world to my Karachi.
Hmm.
So when you land in Karachi, the doors open from the airport and she walks out and there's a dhol, there's a drum, people are screaming and hugging and sort of throwing rose petals. That is how
Yeah.
alive that part of the world is. It's an instant sort of, you just realize you're not in Jersey anymore.
Yeah, no, I loved. I mean, it's so accurate. Like I remember, like coming the airport scene. It's like I know how it is. I've never been to Karachi, but I've been to and getting out the Mumbai airport is exactly like how it was there. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, Sharmeen. I really, really appreciate this. Enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, Rohan.